Greetings, community. It's Kevin of NCBD Comics, and I'm here to bring you another edition of Kevin's most anticipated reads tomorrow for New Comic Book Day, 4/17/2024. And here we are once again. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate you being here and checking this out. If you're, a reoccurring citizen, I appreciate you greatly. It's Tuesday presently, 4/16. I hope you did your taxes. Sorry to make mention and bring that up. I really do care about you. And, things just got to get done. Speaking of which, we're here to go ahead and check out what's coming out for the new comic books that I'm most anticipating reading on New Comic Book Day on this halfway through the month of April. And the books that are coming out, well, these are the ones that I've really been anticipating for a while. These are the books that I've really been looking forward to reading pretty much above all else. And that's why they're on my list. So to start it out, let's go ahead and moving right into IDW. We're going to talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Untold Destiny of the Foot Clan, issue number 2. Issue number 1 was a brilliant setup to something that I'm looking forward to. I think this miniseries is going to come off really well. I was really rather interested on how I'm really not familiar with Shredder's daughter. So how all this led to the fact that now she's trying to take over. And, it's kind of like a backstory, what was going on when he died. And I'm looking forward to really getting into this because this is, I guess, since the source book came out, I really want to know more of the backstory stuff that I really thought I knew. And now that I'm getting into it, I really finding out I really didn't know much at all. So that's why this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Untold Destiny of the Foot Clan issue number 2 is pretty high on my list. Let me take a moment out to go ahead and thank those who wish to decide to hang out with me on the live. Meanwhile, appreciate you, brother. And Chef, how you doing? Hope all is well. Moving up from IDW, we're going to cruise over to Boom. We're going to talk about Animal Pound issue number 3. Issue number 1 was basically an Orwellian style setup to a book that is previously written by such. And it was really, really well done and had me cheering basically for the pets, all these imprisoned animals, these dogs, these cats, these rabbits. I really felt bad for them. And the ones that I wish that would receive the suffering in which that these animals have been receiving were the humans. Awesome setup, issue number 1. Number 2 that I just recently finished out, well, man, it was no less brilliant. And it really allowed me to go ahead and see some of the strifes. I remember reading this as an original, but now that we get it in an animal form, it really allows an individual to see the strifes in which that our forefathers were going through when they're going ahead and building our Constitution, our country, our foundation in which that we're trying to best survive and make, everyone in some regards somewhat equal in the playing fields of this nation. So we get that in the story, and how we're getting it in issue number 2 is if you're on the menu, you're getting eaten. Well, as a citizen, that doesn't work well for the whole pound. So that's what was addressed in issue number 3 and issue number 2. And number 3, I'm looking forward to see how all these issues are resolved. So that's why it's really high on my list. Moving out from Boom Studios, I appreciate you dancing with me, and thank you very much. I appreciate the wishes. From Boom Studios, Animal Pound issue number 3, we're going to cruise over to Penthouse, and we're going to talk about Penthouse Comics issue number 2. I'm only buying this for the articles. Actually, that used to be a joke, but true to life, this is actually mostly a literature-based book. That kind of doesn't really work as a joke in this context. However, that being stated, it actually is somewhat true in the base of, I believe, on the end of every comic book, what we're going to end up seeing is we're going to see probably some, how should I say, homage to your. We do get some brief nudity, and it's just mostly accommodated by a bunch of literature that is great articles, fun comics, and pretty decently writ. What I remember of your Penthouse and Hustler and what was the other one with the bunny things? Come on, people. If you know it, drop it in the comment. Playboy, that's right. Um, they actually had individuals that did do their startings there, meaning people got their writing starts in that book, which was, in my opinion, kind of cool when you really think about it. I got a dog that's going to go ahead and go nuts. Pardon me. This is why we do live. This is why we do it. Say hi, Kiwi. Say hi, Kiwi. She's protecting the house. Protecting the house? Are you? No, I know. All right, go get your sister. All right. She's going to go barking out a storm. Okay, so we were talking about Penthouse issue number 2. Pardon the interruption. But we're going to cruise out from Penthouse issue number 2, which is the one I'm definitely looking for, is the Susan Micah cover. It's a 1 in 10. Just so you know. We're going to talk about Dark Horse Comics. Why? Well, Blue Book, 1947, issue number 3. I just finished number 2. And for those of you that may not have noticed, the idea behind the whole Blue Book thing is it's more of a love that Tynion had for these type of stories. And Blue Book, Project Blue Book, was one of the first things to be released to the public as far as, federally allowed to be seen by the public. It passed the time in which that it was being held. So this was one of the first ones in which that it was wanting to be written, I believe. But Blue Book ended up being the first one, even though in 1947, its predecessor was supposed to be before it, even though it came after. Even see what I'm saying? Loving it just as much. What I really like is basically it does tell you how much respect that he pays for the original individuals that gave us this information, and what Tynion and artists alike are doing with us is giving us the information in a platform, in a format in which most of us wouldn't really otherwise be exposed to. I find that rather fascinating because I myself, I'm not really into this stuff. But being that it was given to me in this format is piquing curiosity, I have to admit. And that's why Blue Book, 1947, issue number 3, is pretty high on my list. Moving out from Dark Horse, we're going to cruise. We're going through a lot of publishers. We're going to cruise over to Image. We're going to talk about Cobra Commander. Now, I've never really done this before, but I will say this is the first time I've ever made real consideration of a runner-up. And Cobra Commander, issue number 4, is definitely a runner-up. After issue number 3 and seeing what this Cobra Commander takes and the abuse that he was going through, and oh my God, and the fact that he went, and now we also see the accompaniment, his I guess bodyguard, if you will, is kind of made of. You also get to see the technology, the superhuman strength, all wrapped into this one individual, along with what the Cobra Commander had to go through with, briefly we got in issue number 1, to become the individual that he is today, which I'm looking forward to when Destro comes out to see what the hell that's all about. But again, cruising back, Cobra Commander issue number 4 led us and showed us some, wow. I mean, before we were paying respect to what the Cobra Commander was as far as an intelligent, scientific-based individual that had a lot of strategy and understanding of how to go ahead and conduct himself when it comes to leadership. But when we see the fact that this effer is, wow, a fighter, an individual that somehow severed all of his, how, I don't know, but all his sensories. I mean, he's got like no feeling in anything. It was weird to watch what was transpiring in issue number 3 and see what's going to happen next. Oh my God. Cobra Commander almost made my most anticipated read. It almost was my blue light special. That close. But moving out for Image, Cobra Commander, issue number 4, coming out 4/17/2024. We're going to talk about Ghost Rider over on the Marvel side. Final Vengeance, issue number 2. Where the hell is Johnny? We still don't have an answer. And the fact that Hood is doing Hood stuff. I mean, what did you expect? Seriously. I can't wait to see what happens in this whole series. This is exactly what I was hoping for, and there's nothing less than what I expected, which I wasn't certain what was going to happen. So that's why Ghost Rider Final Vengeance issue number 2 is up there on my list. But moving out from there, we're going to talk about Giant Size Hulk. I knew all these giant size stories were coming out, and Hulk is definitely on high on my list on one of the books that I want to receive on this giant size stories. I remember these things when I was a kid, and I never had the money to be able to afford these gigantic, thick books. But now that I have the money now, and I'm not putting my kids through the college and which that they deserve, I just kidding. I'm spending all their money. So how that's going is going to the giant size Hulk issue number 1. These things are not cheap, but they're cool to read. So that's why it's high on my most anticipated, really up there on one of my most anticipated reads. I appreciate you. Look at you go, girl. Thank you much. But moving on from that giant size Hulk issue number 1, we're going to talk about Miles Morales issue number 19. I think basically what we're going to get after issue number 18 is kind of a couple fillers. It's not saying that there's not things going on, but between this and the fact that he's going to be babysitting in his next issue, and I think where we're ramping up to is we're going to start off with like issue number 21 or 22 when we start a new arc and we end with this one. I think that's what everything was ramping up to. That was the feeling I was getting when I was talking to Cody, and that's seeming where we're going with these issues. That being stated, I've been enjoying the ride. Cody's doing a magnificent job, and just keep it up, buddy, because Miles Morales issue number 19 is up there on my list. But moving on from that, we're going to talk about Roxanne presents Thor issue number 1. This is kind of a continuation of what we saw in Thor issue number 19, where we got that, I don't know, like a corporate, mascot version of what was going on and how it's going to bleed over in this, which I think is going to bleed back. And I don't know what they're doing. I'm just hanging on for the ride. And that's why, again, the Roxanne Thor presents, it just seems novel and different. And I kind of like that when they want to mix it up with stories. I think I know what's going on. And they throw a wrench in there. I don't mind getting hit in the head every once in a while to go, like you thought you knew what we're doing. I clearly have no idea. And that's why Roxanne presents Thor issue number 1 is up there, because I have no idea what they're going to do with this thing. Just curious. Moving on from that, we're going to talk about Spectacular Spider-Man issue number 2. I feel like I talked about this before. It seems like we're 1 week behind, but that being stated, here we are. Yeah, I like how these two work together. And if they keep doing this as an ongoing series, which they won't, I would love it, which I'm hoping they end up doing more series like this. This is something that works rather well for me. And when we're going to do these Spider-Man stories of different forms, or, 100 different ways or whatever, I prefer it this way. These are two characters, the one that I enjoy, and two, I think work well together. Their banter, their camaraderie, their their jokes or wannabe jokes or puns or wannabe puns work well, in my opinion. But what do I know? I'm biased. I admit it. But I like it. This is the stuff I really dig. Yeah, I like most of the spider stuff, but this in particular works well for me. And what I'm talking about is Spectacular Spider-Man issue number 2. So again, moving out for Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 2, coming out on 4/17/2004. Let's cruise out from that to What If Venom, issue number 3. What we get is the Symbiote Supreme. What if Venom landed on the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange? What would we get? I've been really truly, I've been really thinking about this for the past, I don't know. I started this thing about almost a whole day ago, almost 24 hours. And I've been thinking about this, and I was imagining all the different ways because, well, again, I'm hoping we see a couple different ways in this book. Before I interject my own methods and my own ways in which I would probably write this stuff. Don't we all do that? Play Super Bowl on Monday. Well, I would have. I'm curious to see how they do this. This is one that I'm really anxious to see. Of the 3, this is probably one of my most anticipated. Seriously, of the 3 What If Venoms that we've gotten so far, this is the one that I'm really looking forward to. And that's why Venom, What If, issue number 3, Symbiote Supreme, was no longer just a dream. But hey, moving on from that, we're going to talk about Spider-Woman, issue number 6. I keep saying that this was one of those stories that I wasn't originally going to pick up. And then I just enjoyed. I'm really, I'm getting married. I really am trying to shed. So yeah, if they keep writing them in the way that they are, that's why Spider-Woman issue number 6 is kind of up there. I really been enjoying this journey of how she's trying to find her son, how like Bailey Briggs no one really believes her, no one's really helping her. She's doing a lot of this on her own, and that which that offers the help are very limited in what they can do for her. So I guess that's why I've been really engulfed in this story, is the fact that I've not known this side of her, to where she has to seek so many different individuals to help and be somewhat helpless on her journey to find her son, who is obviously being utilized against her. And when we do see him, it's not the son that she remembered. And she's desperately trying to get the boy that she loved and raised. And that's what we're seeing, is an individual going through a lot of heartache, a lot of pain. And I guess as I'm finding out, I really gravitate towards these type of stories and these type of books. That's why this was, again, a story I end up enjoying, even though I really wasn't even trying to pick it up initially. And that's why Spider Woman, issue number 6, is pretty high up there on the list. However, what we're here for is, yes, you guessed it, the Blue Light Special. And today's Blue Light Special is probably no surprise to you. Yes, Spider Boy, issue number 6. Making its probably 6th, I believe, appearance as a Blue Light Special. Yeah, I dig this character. Dan Slott is doing a marvelous job with this story, and I guess I keep tripping over my words on how do I want to describe this story. And when I try to, I know I over and over fall short of really what I'm trying to convey. This is a story which I believe a lot of people fell in love with when they were first reading Spider-Man for the first time. It's a story of heartache and pain and love and wonder and help and compassion. There's so much in here and so little so far, which we only have 5 issues. We've gotten so many different new characters, so many great new puns. We've seen old characters. We've seen how characters are interacting with this character, and it just shows you how, in my opinion, this is not a character that's going anywhere anytime soon. What I really enjoy about this is the different ways in which this character is explored. Being that it's such a new character, but one that we're all somewhat familiar with just by using the word spider, that I'm always intrigued by how a writer, knowing this, has to battle, one, the tropes in which that they have to utilize, and two, I guess a lot of the negative commentary that they're going to end up inevitably receiving by a bunch of people who, beyond even giving it a shot, will always inevitably go ahead and just poo on. Now, that being stated, again, getting back to the whole idea behind the Blue Light Special, is issue number 6 is ending an arc and beginning a whole new. We're seeing something that's kind of cool in the sense of, we know that a character in which that was really only supposed to debut as a supporting character in a supporting role, to a character that is a main A stay, and then somewhat go away, turn into its own character, and is, in my opinion, kind of turn into a solid B character. Isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and seems like, if anything, is making a deeper and wider impression. Just saying. And that's it for me, Entropy. I hope you have a wonderful and happy 4/17/2024. Stay well.